Group and phone interview. Let's watch this video clip and do the activity. Telephone data collection. Preparing and conducting interviews. Remember the telephone? Sure you do. Bet you have one in your pocket right now. And probably one at home too. It's what connects us all. It's also that lost art form of market research. Telephone market research. Many researchers now collect data using online surveys and similar techniques. And while these can be cost-effective, they definitely have some limitations. What's the rationale of using old technology? Demographics, of course. Several studies have shown that the participants of online surveys don't necessarily represent the characteristics of the overall population. Most importantly, older generations are still attached to the phone. And with the mass retirement that has just begun, the baby boomers' lifestyles are changing rapidly. The telephone simply cannot be overlooked and needs to be top shelf in a researcher's toolbox. Of course, demographics isn't the only reason to include the telephone in your methodology. What about survey length, panel overuses, and break-off rates? Not to mention finding those hard-to-reach respondents like executives and survey validation. No matter how sophisticated technology gets, all of these problems will impact the quality of your data and can benefit immensely from the human connection. Something only the telephone can deliver. Bring life back to your research. Pick up the phone and call. Telephone. So, what is a telephone interview in our study here? Telephone interview is a data collection method when the interviewer communicates with the respondent on the telephone in accordance with the prepared questionnaire. Telephone interview is a quantitative research tool practiced in public opinion, customer, or other target group surveys. Now, let's learn about the in-depth interview. What is it and why would we use it? An in-depth interview is an extended discussion with one or more people. Typically, it is very open-ended. It allows you to be flexible and adapt to what people tell you. Also, you can change your questions in order to get more information from people as the conversation evolves. Sometimes it can be more structured and looks more like a survey. But an in-depth interview tends to be slightly more open and allow for flexibility. Typically, people think about using in-depth interviews when their questions are exploratory and they want to understand something that there are not many theoretical explanations already. The exploratory question is a question for getting general information when there aren't many theoretical explanations. They can also be explanatory. Maybe some research has already been done. Maybe you've done some survey work, some analysis that give you a clue about what's going on, but more in-depth information is needed. Broadly speaking, there are two different kinds of in-depth interviews. One, a repeated in-depth interview in which you repeated the questions, the interview protocol with multiple subjects. For example, to learn about the student achievement, you might ask the same questions to a sample of students so that ostensibly the information you get from each individual is treated analytically the same. Another type of in-depth interview in which you become less concerned about representation is called a key informant interview. Instead of trying to do a perfectly representative sampling that framed to get students of various educational levels, socioeconomic backgrounds, racial identities, gender identities, You are about to go interviewing certain faculty members, administrators, people. A key informant interview is an interview with people who have a qualitatively different understanding and positionality with respect to the research question. So, they might have a power with respect to the research question. They might have a longer view with respect to a research question. You don't need necessarily to be concerned with questions about how many key informants do I need to do. A key informant, by definition, is one person who has a very special understanding of your research question. Implementing in-depth interviews. The first thing you need to do is to prepare extensively. This seems sort of self-explanatory, but often what you need to do is to write your questions down. Make sure that the timing of the questions and the order of the question makes sense, such that you get people to feel comfortable before you start and seek to get. So there's a balance between the order of the questions that you do and the timing. You prepare and practice your questions according to timing and order, but you also think about preparing such that you don't have to be reading anything while you're doing an interview. The best interview you do is one that you can literally do off the top of your head and in your mind. So you want to make sure that you make the most of those interviews. And this is particularly so for key informant interviews because often those people will give you one chance for 30 minutes and it takes a long time to get those interviews. Recording devices can be really useful because it enables you to just have a conversation without having to write anything down. So, use a recording device that you are very comfortable with. And beware of the smartphone that too often can do a number of jobs at the same time. It would be very awkward to have to either redo an interview in order to get that information or to ask somebody to repeat their answers for things it comes across as sort of disrespectful. And when people have to repeat what they are doing, they tend to be less thorough the second time. So, try to use a recording device that is just a recording device so that if there are other distractions happening, it won't be with the instrument that's collecting and recording the most important information, which again becomes the substance of your research.